Can you believe that we just had the first sex scene in a Marvel movie? Like actual showing the motion in the ocean sex scene.
Oh,
They insinuate a lot in some movies. You know, they show kiss,
yeah.
but showing some motion. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Is there kids in here? Like, there's some explaining
Yeah.
to do after
With
this.
your best friend Trey Sterling and Matt, the film Schmucks.
Okay. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for coming back to another episode of the film Schmucks. And we're here today with just two of us. What's going on? Where's Matt, Trey? Where is he?
Well, if I told you, I'd have to. Well, you know the rest. But anyway,
Uh,
we were
I,
glad to take it for the team and watch it on opening night with all the crazy people. So
yeah.
I'll just jump right in.
Yeah,
Uh,
go for it.
uh, so I said coming out of the theater that this movie was not as dense as I thought it was going to be because that's the whole talk. It's heavy, it has a lot of information, it expands this, it expands that, and quite frankly, it does the latter, but it really wasn't that dense. I thought it was very easy to follow. I thought they explained there's some people saying that the villain was a bad and not explained well. I thought they explained the villain perfectly, and then I remembered, oh, there's like three villains in this movie, or
Yes.
yeah, two
Just
and a half,
one.
yeah, more. Yeah, it wasn't just one. So this movie is not like Dune to me, where I feel like I have to go back to the theater for Dune or watch it again to get everything. I feel like I got the majority of the pieces for this, but this movie, like I said, that did the latter with it expands it widens the scope of the MCU as a whole. I mean, I can't believe how much it kind of opened the doorways, if you will. Just starting out with the creator of the universe, Isherim or
Yeah.
whatever. I'm like, I mean, I meeting a celestial, and I know I said this too. I'm like, I was hoping for a tease. I was hoping for a Thanos like tease at the end. We'll get into it for the post credits,
Yeah.
but I was hoping for a celestial tease of Galactus. Sadly, we didn't get that yet. But my
Yeah.
goodness, I cannot wait to see more Isherim. To see, I mean, I guess more Eternals. Probably a TV show, not a movie. But because there's a lot they could dive into with this because of
Yeah.
what they laid out. So anyway, I'll let you go. There's more. Obviously, I have more to say, but yeah, it expands a
Well,
lot.
so I actually agree with you. I was expecting a much more dense film. And honestly, I was kind of worried a little bit when the opening crawl came in because it was kind of a long opening crawl. Like, there was a lot of information, and I was like, okay, like I like where they're going because it is kind of it's a much more different introduction than we've seen in the MCU, and so that was cool. But I was kind of worried, like, oh man, like it's just is this going to be as dense as Dune? And it's not always a bad thing.
Yeah,
No, overall, the information and the overall just plot was not that complicated.
yeah,
Um, I do think, however, like I enjoyed this movie overall, but for the most part. But there are a couple things that actually keep it from. I don't think it's a great movie. I think it's a decent movie. I don't think it's terrible, and it is kind of interesting to see how divisive it is among the critics. So far, it seems like audiences are pretty positive about this overall, but I don't know. I can see some of the criticisms for sure and why there is a little bit of division. But yeah, overall, like, I don't know. Like, I kept seeing people saying that this is much different than any other MCU film. And in some ways, I think that's true, but in some ways, I don't think that's true. I do think in a lot of ways, it stays true to the formula of the MCU. I don't think it strays too far from the overall formula. So yeah, overall decent, but there are some things that I have some issues with.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it with the critics. I don't want to look at it again. I,
Yeah,
yeah, the audiences are really, really liking this movie because, like you said, it doesn't divulge or doesn't kind of sway too far away from the formula because it can't. It really can't. But
yeah,
I thought it was as far away as it could be with a Oscar-winning director. I felt that. I felt the differences. I felt the tone differences. Um, and the directing style, obviously, with
yeah.
I guess how it was cut, I guess, and then
Well,
obviously,
the
I mean,
shots, like the
yeah,
cinematography,
yes,
definitely
yes,
was a huge difference. It
yep,
definitely had kind of more of a Lord of the Rings like kind of scope to a lot of the shots. And what impressed me the most probably out of this whole movie was, yeah, there is a lot of CGI. I'm not saying that there's not, but there is a lot of landscape shots, and they obviously went to a lot of different locations for this movie, and I appreciate that because they could have just gone to a sound stage and done the whole thing like most movies are doing now. And so I appreciate a big budget film actually doing a lot of on location shooting. So
yeah. I really, I was impressed. I was waiting throughout the movie to start to love the movie.
mhm,
I eventually came down to where I really enjoyed it. I feel like this will be looked on as, I mean, be looked on as maybe a stepping stone because of there's so much content, there's so much material they can use, and I think this
mhm,
kind of spring rocketed them towards any direction they really want.
yeah,
I think this will because of the way it was directed, cinematography, everything we've said, this will be looked at as a cornerstone of the after the first four phases after Thanos. Like this was it,
mhm,
not Shang-Chi, not Pete's Dragon 2.0 with Shang-Chi, not Black Widow from the dead, you know, none of that.
mhm,
This will be the one where this was different because like you said, and like I said, it had to keep a similar DNA, and I think she was restrained with that, and I could feel that because of some of
yeah,
the the decisions they made in the cutting room. I mean, not really cutting room, but how they cut scenes together.
yeah,
So I could feel like it wasn't fully hers, but in Feige fashion, he let the reins loose a little bit and gave her the
mhm,
artistic style kind of shots, like you were saying, kind of
yeah.
not green screen, stuff like that. But
Well,
I, go.
the pacing was kind of unique in some ways. Although again, like
That's yeah.
I do think it's a little bit overblown, and I'm not saying you're doing this. I'm just saying that a lot of like opinions that I saw of this movie was like, oh, it is drastically more different. You know what I mean? And so with that expectation and seeing the movie, I was like, well, it's not as different as I thought it would be. So, but one thing I did notice besides cinematography was there's a lot of downtime in this movie. There's a lot of discussions in this movie, and you know, I felt like probably the director wanted to do more of those scenes, but then you get like a CGI fight, or some kind of action within that. And I felt like, yeah, I kind of agree with you, Trey, a little bit that you could tell sometimes when it's kind of a give and take relationship. It's not all just the director.
Yeah.
She has a committee behind her. So, but yeah,
Well, I bet it was just probably Feige and her. Really, I mean, I guess there's more voices, but
yeah,
I mean, come on, she she won best director and best picture. Like he's gonna he this is
sure,
what I think this is what Feige wanted. I think this is because he's been praising it even before Shang-Chi came out. He was praising this movie, saying it could be best picture, it could be this. It's really different. And
yeah.
I'm not sure where you're. I know you're saying I'm not saying it's completely different because I'm not, but I think I think it clearly is the most different. I mean,
Mm,
style, like directing stylistically. whatever word you want to put it, movie there has been, because of what you said about pacing. I think her that's where there the difference, or the exposition, I should say. I don't think there's been a movie in the Marvel universe that has had this much exposition other than the first two acts of Endgame, or
Yeah.
1.5 acts. But that
Well,
was an event film. But this one had a lot of exposition, and I was just like Dune. I was on the edge of my seat, listening to every word because, like we said, this movie, no, all new characters, all new plot. I mean, I like, yes, the DNA's there, but everything's new surrounding us. A celestial that created the universe. That's the boss. That's talking to them. Eternals that are immortal, that have protected Earth. Nothing we've seen before. So I really appreciated the effort that Feige put in, and letting her do what she wanted to do, because, like you
yeah,
said, they had to have some Marvel DNA in it. But I really appreciated how different it was from what we've
sure.
had.
No, yeah. And I actually think, in some ways, and this might be going into some of my criticisms overall this movie, but like, I kind of want to watch the movie again, not because it was too dense, but because there are certain decisions made by some characters, especially one character that
The little
I'm not
girl.
sure if I. Well, that's one, but I want to know if maybe I missed something
Well,
or if it
talk. Just
wasn't.
talk. Boiler
Yeah.
away. Let's go. Let's get into it.
Well, I'm kind of curious, like the turn with what's his name, Icarus. Yeah,
Yep.
Icarus. He turns on his team, and obviously, I think it makes sense overall. It's just I don't know. I don't know if I completely bought his complete turn against everyone. Um, Now it was worse with the girl because
Yeah, that
like
was bad.
yeah, it's like okay, you have feelings for him, but would that really get you to the point to almost kill
Your friend.
your friend? Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts? First of all, with Icarus.
Well, here's the thing. So right when they found Ajak, Simon Hulk, dead. Right when that happened, I'm like, they're all there. My first thought was, I bet he killed her. I'm
Yeah.
being honest. Now, here's my other honest thing: is when we found out that the deviant, is it deviant? What are they called? The creatures?
Yeah. Deviants.
Yeah. So when we found out one of them absorbed her powers, then I forgot about it. I was like, oh, okay, fine. That it wasn't him. Like, maybe they won't do the tool. I was trying to find the word, but the same old thing people, but movies do. Always has to be a friend that becomes the foe, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
goodness. And then comes the flashback, which there's my issues. I didn't like all the flashbacks. Not that I didn't like them. I didn't like how
It
they
was
were.
choppy.
Yeah,
That's
they're
why.
choppy. They were cut in. Like I was
Yeah.
saying earlier, how it was, I think, because she wasn't in full control, Zoe Chow, or the director. I think that was some of the decisions where I don't think she would have done that if she had full reign. Because
Yeah.
when we find her dead, we're like, okay, or is this a Hulk situation where the trailers don't mean anything, you know? And then they do another flashback, right? Like, almost, I forgot when, where she's on horseback talking to Icarus. We've got 7 days, and then we
Yeah.
find out he was the bad guy. I'm like, oh my gosh, really, really? It has to be a friend, a close, the an ally that's a bad guy, or the bad guy, or that turns on him because he's like so
Yeah.
loyal. That happens in a lot of movies, and I didn't like that Marvel did that here. Um,
Sure.
but uh, but
Well, you touched on
he,
something.
you got
Oh,
something?
well, that's probably my biggest criticism of the whole movie is it's the way the story kind of flows, cutting back to flashbacks and then going back to the present like one too many times. and to me, it just kind of disrupted the flow overall.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's not the only movie to do it. Like I feel like a lot
Wasn't
of
bad.
recent watched. No, it's not bad. It's just it could have been a lot better. And
Oh yeah.
honestly, like if you just told the story in a linear fashion, I think it would have been better. So
If they would have cut
yeah,
him in half and it had a smoother transition because they did
hmm
way too many. Um.
yeah,
Uh. Well, but what I was gonna say was that
yeah,
I didn't mind his explanation as to why he did what he did. He was
sure,
loyal. He he kept us. He was mad that he had to keep a secret. You know, I understood it, but I
yeah,
didn't like that it was what it was. But the explanation of it, I didn't mind. I didn't hate. For
yeah,
with the girl, totally out of left field. I thought when
yeah.
she's like, "I'm gonna go with you," I thought she's gonna be the inside man. She's gonna put something on him, do her illusion thing to help them out in the end.
Try to
But
reason with.
yeah, try to reason with them,
Yeah,
because they just threw that in so fast. Like this is Peter Pan, you really like him. It was real quick, and they forgot about it. And then near the end,
yeah. I
she
didn't
goes with
buy
him.
it. Yeah,
Didn't buy it. She was
I
young.
didn't buy the love. I didn't buy the love story. I did buy the motivation of wanting to be a normal human. I think
Yeah,
they actually did a pretty decent job with that.
but
But
the
yeah, just
jealousy for your friend and try to kill her, that
and
didn't make any.
honestly, yeah, and honestly, the movie itself, I felt like kind of realized that you guys are not going to buy this because they totally undercut that dramatic moment when
He
the
hit her in the
guy who
head.
can control minds can hit her in the head. I felt like the movie was almost kind of like a winking and nodding, like yeah, you probably didn't like that, didn't like that
Yeah.
explanation. We're going to undercut it with a funny moment. So
I
um,
liked that character up until then. Like I thought she's a cool character to have.
yeah,
I actually didn't I liked most of the characters, if not all.
yeah,
Um it was really weird. I kind of said that they explained a lot of things. There I guess they did in the end explain Angelina Jolie's character's issues with memories. I guess because all her memories of all the different lives were flooding her, I guess, right? Is that what I got out of it?
yeah. Most of the storyline I was kind of iffy about the motivation or like the cause of that whole
Yeah.
condition. Like for the most part I was like I don't know if I'm buying this, but then when they said, well, basically Aricia or whatever his name is, he resets your memories, he resets your mind, and somehow he made a mistake and she's able to see like all those combined minds, all the combined memories, and it just takes a toll on her mind. So
Yeah.
yeah, I bought that. But okay, I wanted to touch on something else. Again, I enjoy this movie, but there is some big issues I had with it. And one
More
issue
big
I had,
damn.
yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, I'm not turning heel. Okay, don't worry, fans. I'm still a
Don't be
baby
afraid to
face.
go heel.
No, here's the thing. I think the performances were great across the board, and I think that's what carried the movie in a lot of ways. I just think the story and the way it was told sometimes underserved and were overshadowed by the performances. And so a lot of the time it didn't have as much impact as I wanted it to. So like there's a lot of dialogue, a lot of talking, a lot of explanation. And again, the performances are great, but I felt like this movie relied too much on tell but don't show. You know what I mean? I felt like there was a lot of times where, like for instance, Selma Hayek scene where she's talking to Icarus, and it's like right before the emergence. It's like 7 days before the emergence, and she gives her reason why she kind of turned against her mission and why she wanted to save humanity ultimately. Um, and I understand the motivation. I just wish there could have been something that showed that a little bit more to kind of drive more of an impact on that. Because again, it would have been nice to see something like, her witnessing the Avengers or something like, bringing back everyone with a snap of a finger. That would have been cool to see something like that. like that's one example. Another example is like again there's a lot of philosophical discussion in this movie about is humanity worth saving, and I think sometimes it does work, and I think there's some interesting dialogue within all of that. But I've seen those same themes done a lot better in other stuff, like other superhero like TV shows. And so to me, I felt like it could have been a lot better. And it was a whole lot of show. It was a whole lot of telling, but not showing, in my opinion. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that specifically that scene with Ajax and Icarus, they
Yeah.
really teased that in the trailer, obviously.
Hmm.
I that like I said, the way they cut back to it and then cut right to where they find the deviants getting melting and then him pushing her off the cliff, yada yada yada. Like you said, there should have been more to that. Uh,
Yeah.
it was way too quick of an explanation. I'm here for the mission. And I'm sorry. And he's like crying and he's all sad. He has to kill his friend. Da 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 da. One of the a trope. There's the word I'm looking for. The trope. They always do with the
Yeah.
friend always turning on the friends. Friend turning on a friend. So yeah, that's my bigger issue is yes, it could have been more to that, but in general, when they kept on going to present day, don't keep on saying present day. We get it. There's a vehicle going 73.7 miles an hour down the road. We get we're present day. Just like with Suicide Squad. Every time they came back to us, we're in Japan. I don't give two squirts of piss where we're at. Stop doing this
Yeah.
funky little screen crap. So that was really making me irritated. I was actually more irritated about that than I was about them cutting back all crazy like. And
Mm,
anyway, yes, I agree specifically to that scene. There should have been more too, because that was a very important scene. His
yeah.
his motivations and her motivations. They did not explain her motivations enough, but they did with him. Like I said earlier, I took it. I took what his reasonings and motivations. They should have done more with her. She should have been in the movie more, and they should have done more with that.
Yeah. Well, again, it's like I think maybe why I didn't feel like I bought his turn was the fact that again he's telling us the audience he's telling us I'm so loyal to the cause. Okay, maybe show that a little bit more in some ways, like through some kind of visual storytelling, not just through dialogue. That's just all I'm saying. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I don't. I bet I'm not sure what they could have done. I'm not saying I have the answer. I'm just saying that it
You
kind of
cut a
left a little bit.
character.
So
I'm not sure what character you cut. Maybe the mind control guy or the little girl to give more screen time. Maybe make it
maybe.
10 minutes longer. Or a TV show. They just had success with TV shows, but maybe the actors they wanted to sign didn't want to do a 5 episode miniseries. Who knows? Um,
Probably. It's probably
yeah, because
true.
this could have done well with a miniseries, a 4 or 5 episode, hour long episode. It's
Yeah.
because they're not gonna this experiment was a success for the audience, obviously, after the last couple of days of seeing what the audiences thought. But they are
Hmm.
not going to waste their time putting $200 million into another Eternals movie. They're going to sprinkle it in here in the Guardians of Galaxy or a Thor. They're going to sprinkle it in
Yeah.
here and there, or the next Avengers 3.5 or 4.5, whatever the next team up movie that's not really Avengers. They might
Yeah.
sprinkle in there. They're not wasting their time with a movie with this again,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Because
Well.
there's so many characters they had to follow along and introduce. Some of them the motivations obviously you and I there's some that we didn't like, and there's a lot of exposition. Audiences are not gonna want to see another. They'll do with a TV show like Loki, a lot of exposition. And kind of WandaVision kind of was following her mind her going crazy and trying to keep everything under control. um
Sure.
so those shows showed that is an audience for exposition, for dialogue, for story building, for building up the next
Yeah.
chapter. Um
Yeah.
anyway, I'm going on a whole thing about it,
Well.
but
those are my main criticisms overall, and you know, I kind of actually want to move on to positives.
Let me start. Do you have one that you
Yeah,
want to start off with?
yeah. Well, okay. Just one quick one,
Please don't
because
be mine.
I love soundtracks.
Okay.
I love scores, and I actually think this is one of the best Marvel scores, and I think it's up there with Infinity War. Because Infinity War is still my favorite. I think it's the best score out of all of them. But this one, there's just I don't know. There were so many moments where I felt just the score was just majestic, and it needed to be majestic for a movie about gods. You know, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I was really impressed by the soundtrack because most Marvel movies the soundtracks are good, but they're not great. This one is great.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really. I'm more into how a movie is. I watch it. How is it cut? How are the
Sure.
transitions? The cinematography. I'm not
Yeah.
really. I'm not personally. I like what I hear. If it has to be bad for me to really notice it, or really really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I actually really like this one. I'll give you that. I just can't compare it to. I don't remember. That's something I don't really remember movie to movie, honestly, unless it's spectacular, like a Star Wars. Losing my
Yeah.
cred here.
I
Williams,
mean,
right?
yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
What's his
No, but
name?
anyway. Wait,
What
what?
the Star Trek guy? Williams. What's his first name?
J. J. Abrams?
No, the sound people, the sound guy. You jerk off.
Oh, John Williams.
John
John
Williams,
Williams.
yeah.
Okay.
Those and the Mad Max, that one, like
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff like
Hans
that.
Zimmer.
So, yep. So that those are the ones I remember. This one I'm not gonna probably remember, but I do remember because I watched it last night. I felt it like because it really matched up with the cinematography really well.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be in my Schindler playlist. That's as much credit as I can give a score. So
Yeah. Uh here's mine. Here's one before your next one. It's
yeah.
not really positive. It's more of a joke, but can you
Uh,
believe that we just had the first sex scene in a Marvel movie? Like actual showing the motion in the ocean sex scene.
oh
Can you
yeah. I'm
believe
trying
it?
to think. Trying to think if there was like any other. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe not in movies, but like I
In
know the
Marvel.
Netflix Marvel shows definitely had a
Oh
lot of
yeah, with Luke
yeah,
Cage and Jessica Jones and yeah.
yeah, the puns for yeah,
Yep, yeah. So
um,
I'm talking about movies. Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, no,
I don't.
no,
They insinuate a lot in some movies. You know, they show kiss,
yeah,
but showing some motion. I was like, I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Is there kids in here? Like, there's some explaining
yeah.
to do after this.
Hey, they got to learn it some way. Sex
I
education,
mean, uh,
is defunded. So
I can't complain. I mean, some beautiful people they did it with. I mean,
yeah,
they
that's
were.
true.
I mean, either way. I mean, no
Yeah,
homo. I mean, I can't. I he is a beautiful man.
we
Hugh
we get
Jackman,
you.
he's a
Yeah,
beautiful man. Like I gotta give credit where credit's due. You know,
yeah,
use what you got. Use your actor the way you want to use them. But I couldn't believe it was in a Marvel movie.
yeah.
You know,
Hey, they kept it PG-13, so but they got close to not keeping it PG-13. Luckily, it was in shadow, or
what what,
it
what
was dark. It was a dark scene, is what I'm saying, and
for
the
the
way
scene I'm
that
talking about?
yeah, the sex scene.
Oh yeah, I didn't feel like it was dark, but yeah.
It was darkly lit. There was a little bit of
Okay.
light. Yeah,
Yeah, the sunset. It was like a sunset one, right? The sun's kind of
yeah,
coming
Twilight.
down. Yeah.
The sun's coming down. Isn't that what Scarlett Johansson
The rock,
says to the
the
whole?
sun's coming down. The rock is coming up, baby.
Oh, god damn. Uh,
We're
anyway,
off the rails, people.
well, I'm glad you brought that up because I probably wouldn't have brought that up. So
Yeah,
it
chicken. Ba, ba, ba.
anyway, okay, another good thing that I noticed. Um, I think I think the dynamic with the whole team was good overall. And I think the comedy, even though sometimes there was a couple things that didn't land, there were some pretty funny moments. I Kamal is just a hilarious person. No matter what
His
he's
ballet.
his valet, yeah, yeah, I loved it. I thought that actually worked. Um,
Yeah.
and the guy who played his valet was really good too. Um, yeah, but then also the guy I can't remember his name, but he was the genius of the group. He
Oh, yeah,
was
yeah.
the smart guy.
Yep.
He had more subtle humor, which I apprecited.
Dry.
He
Yep.
wasn't he had dry humor, and I think that worked overall. It was a good contrast to Kamal's comedy. So, but yeah, that's
Yeah,
something I. What else did you notice?
you know, I was trying to think about where I've seen the guy that was the protector of Angelina Jolie. Um,
Train to Busan,
Train to
baby.
Busan. Yeah,
Yeah,
just right when you said that, I was looking right at the title. Yeah, Train to Busan. He was the guy I didn't
the
like in Train to
badass dad.
Busan. What?
Yeah, he's the badass dad.
Yeah, I didn't like him in that movie, but I liked him in this movie. He was
Yeah,
really good. Um,
he was.
yeah, I think they did really well with character building. Like the be, like we're saying, I think there was a little too much talky, but they had to because they put to their fault too many characters. But what they did with the characters, I really liked. I
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't really a lot of explanation with the mind control guy, really. But the one scene where he leaves and controls everybody and they follow him, right? And it was really an emotional scene, so that was a good scene. I think they all
Hmm.
had a really good motivations for their own opinions and morals. That I guess they get reset. So they
Yeah.
this was like obviously probably the first time this happened, and something kind of woke them up. I guess. I mean, but I think Ajax letting them go probably did it
Hmm.
right. Probably didn't happen
Yeah.
before. So I really like the motivations. I really like the characters. I wish and I hope we get to see some of them back. I mean, I'm not sure with the Tinkerbell girl, the little girl that does an anim. I'm not sure if she'll be back because what does she contribute? Just illusions, right? There, we got Loki for that. He'll be in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
movie, you know.
That is something I noticed. Yeah, it's like she did the same trick that Loki's done like the
Yeah,
entire MCU. So
yeah,
I guess that's where he got his
um,
powers from. I don't know.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
But,
Okay, that's interesting.
well,
Okay.
a celestial would have created the gods of Asgard, I would assume. Um, so,
But he's not an Asgardian. He's an ice thing.
okay, you're right. But a celestial would have created, that same species as well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's
um,
true. Yeah.
but anyway, uh, okay, there was something else that I was going to bring up, and I can't
Go
remember
ahead.
if it was a criticism or if it was a compliment, or maybe if it was both.
Oh
Uh,
boy.
anyway, yeah, let's talk more about that sex scene. How about that? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Cut that out. No, I don't want to talk about. Um, I don't know. One thing that definitely helped the movie overall, and that it's kind of a bias of mine. I do like watching team up movies in the superhero genre. I like seeing heroes come together, and obviously it can be done poorly, but if it's done decent, I think for me it makes it that much more of an enjoyable film because I like seeing characters bounce off of each other. Um, you know, it definitely is kind of an advantage when it's done well, as opposed to a standalone, isolated, you know, Thor movie or Captain America movie. I enjoy it overall like a little bit more. It's more entertaining. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
Okay. So you're saying that you enjoy team up movies more than individualistic movies?
When it's done well, yeah.
Was this done well?
I think overall it was done. as well as it could have been. As far as them teaming up and giving time to each of the characters.
Yeah.
Um, but again, but also the performances helped it as well.
Yeah.
Like when you have good performances from most of your cast, that's kind of maybe like it's kind of gloss over a lot of the mistakes that
Yeah.
maybe are in that. Um, but yeah,
This movie would have been way different if it was directed by like Sam Raimi or um gosh darn, I'm blanking, but any you could throw in almost any of them that have done other Marvel projects. Other than I think this would have been very similar if it was done by Kenneth Branagh. That's what I just thought of that. I'm like, this would have been probably very
yeah,
similar. He's the only one that I think could have brought this home like she did to not loot, uh, go off the rails, if you will. Because
yeah,
other directors would have rushed it. They would have just like at the beginning, here, my name's Icarus. My name is Cece. Right? What it would have been really rushed, and they would have just gotten to the action. So I like I said earlier, I really appreciate that they put in a director that cares about the human part of a movie, not
yeah,
not just about action, not just about the next movie, but about character development, if you will. That
sure,
so I really appreciate this. Like I said, there's not that many directors that could have done what she did, and she did it well.
sure. No, I think overall the movie is directed very well. And this is gonna be my final thoughts overall because I don't really have too much more to say about it. Although we could talk about the post credit scenes for a few minutes, which, yeah, no, are you okay? Are you disappointed by it? Let's talk about it now. Actually, the
You'll
post credit scene.
see
Okay,
on when I get this together, my out of theater. My first thing I talk about, I said, man, I thought I was gonna come out of the theater talking about the exciting post credit scenes. What crap they gave us. What absolute crap. Why do we need Harry Styles in this? Why do we need some fucking sugar
uh,
licking bozo in this movie with bad
okay,
CGI Patton Oswalt? Why do we need that? Why do we need to get
yeah,
a tease of another superhero we never heard of? And there's no zero explanation of who he is, just a sword that talks to him. The worst back-to-back post-credit scenes ever in Marvel's history. Horrendous.
mm, yeah. I'm not gonna say they were good. I don't.
Let's just say you agree.
well, well, yeah. I mostly agree with you. I don't know if I would say it's the worst.
Nostalgia! Come on.
It's, no, here's the thing. Harry Styles, I'm glad that I saw him in Dunkirk because that gives me hope because he did a good job in Dunkirk. And that's the only acting that I've ever seen him do. And obviously he was under the direction of one of the best directors, Christopher Nolan. Uh, but I do think he's capable of being a likable hero. And that's all I have to say. I don't think he's like a great actor, but yeah, it was kind of weird. There was a lot of build up, and it's like a new character. This new character is new, like midget CGI midget or whatever it
And
is.
Oswald.
Yeah, Patton Oswald. Um, and it was weird,
Yeah, bad
for
CGI.
sure. And then
So,
like they should have revealed in the second post credit scene. They should have just revealed who he was
yeah.
or what that voice was that talked to him.
Oh, so stupid. I was so
Yeah.
disappointed. I was like, oh, we got somebody new. But it always has to be someone that randomly meets a billion-year-old being.
Uh,
Really? He's the boyfriend, the human
yeah.
boyfriend. It ends up being
Yeah.
somebody. Like, where's the originality? Like that. Oh, see, I love almost 97.2% of what Kevin Feige does. But my goodness, when he falls on his face, he falls on his face, and they fall on their face on these. My God! But do you really think? Let's go to the first one real quick. I know we're gonna get to our final thoughts. Do you really think they're gonna bring Harry Styles in full time? I think this is. I hope to God it's a one shot. Like he'll be in it for a 5 minute scene in the next one. Here you go. I helped you out. Adios. I hope
Well,
to
no,
God it's not
I don't
Thanos.
think he's
I hope to
getting.
God that they don't push this Thanos brother thing. I please.
Well, initially I was a little confused because I thought it was going to be Adam Warlock. It
Me
looked like
too.
Will
Yeah.
Poulter. Yeah. Um, and then it was Eros
Yeah.
or
What?
whatever.
Who cares?
If I had to guess, I don't think they're not going to make a franchise. I don't think. Um, not to say they couldn't. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but it seems like just from the implication that he'll be, a supporting role in different franchises, more so than
I
just his own franchise. So
I hope, yeah, I hope he's just supporting, and I hope it's in the. I hope they make a TV series out of the Eternals because they don't need to use every. Obviously, they're not going to use everybody because they got split up, right?
yeah.
And I hope it's a TV series because I don't want to see him in a movie again. That really made that. My blood's boiling, man. Like, what a waste! If you're gonna bring in an important character, you're gonna waste it on this guy. Honestly,
Yeah.
I told man, I was like, we're in the car. I'm like, they could have chose me, and that would have been a better choice than this guy. Like, honestly, horrendous.
Well,
When did the MCU come into just create goofy little cameos? Like at least Jeff Goldblum came in and did a great job in a full movie. Like it did a good job, and he's actually been famous for 30 years, not some singer. So
well,
mad, man. So mad. The actor that's playing Adam Warlock, at least he's established actor, been good and stuff. Goodness gracious. Give me two breaks of a Kit
well.
Kat Snicker bar, whatever you want to
Again,
call it. I don't care.
Harry
I'm fired up.
Styles. I've only seen him in one thing. He was pretty good in it, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. That's all I have to say. But
All I have to
yeah,
say, what a waste.
what a waste. The two post credit scene, yeah. I mean, they're throwaway post credit scenes. I don't really, yeah,
Marvel's been so good to have at least one be worth it.
yeah.
Like, oh my, oh, headaches
Well,
all
okay.
over.
Who's the voice? Who do you think that voice was at the end?
Bro, I've already forgotten to type. I was gonna research what I obviously can like what does that second post credit scene mean? There's answers out there, so I haven't done it yet. I
Yeah.
apologize to everybody. I did not research, but you're totally you're totally right. They should have done something to hit like what a sword is
I just want to
Excalibur.
see. I just want to see Fantastic Four. I want to see
Um,
them in one post credit scene. That's all. That's all I want.
you're gonna have to wait for Ant-Man, Quantumania. Sorry,
I know.
or
I'm
Doctor
just waiting.
Strange. I guess. I
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Doctor
know.
Strange. I don't know. Anyway,
Well, here,
I'm about. Go ahead.
you're about what?
I'm about done. I'm about
Okay, so
done.
give me. Okay, did Icarus commit suicide? Is that what they say?
Okay. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because that was confusing because I wasn't
Very
sure.
confusing.
I assume he doesn't die.
He's
He's just
immortal.
yeah, like he just I don't know. He's just flying through the sun. I don't know. Yeah, that was kind of confusing. Though. I'm like, this is a suicide scene or I don't know.
So they're a celestial who created you like you said earlier created Asgard and gods and all that. So he created Eternals. It took a lot for Thor to get damaged. It took his equal or his sister, who's been around thousands of years, billions of years longer than him, to hurt his eye, nothing else. You know,
Yeah.
these guys seem to get hurt all the time in this movie, but they're like, oh, they're immortal. That means they can't die. So why are you even injuring them? Like, I get
Well,
that they each other could probably kill like with enough power, I guess, kill each other.
there's a
But
difference.
what's that?
There's a difference between immortal and indestructible. Immortal means that you can theoretically live forever without contracting any diseases. Like you don't die of old age, but you can still die. If you're killed or whatever. I think that's the difference. And
Well, then
indestructible
he's
would be
dead. Well, then he's dead. He flew into a star. He's dead. Well, shouldn't he like burned up if he was immortal? They had some kind of indestructibility if he was able to survive in
yeah.
space. You
But
know.
his ability is, I mean, he is Superman basically. Um, and I don't know. Again, I don't. It's not clear. It
Yeah,
wasn't done in a
that's the
clear way.
point. Yeah, it was not
Yeah,
clear. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
All right.
but
Yeah.
I'm
Sorry.
gonna guess he survived. I'm gonna
Yeah.
guess he didn't die
Yeah.
because, again, he wasn't killed on screen. So,
Yeah. All right. What do you got?
okay, you want me to go first? I'll go first. Overall, enjoyed this movie, and I do think it's a good step. Trey, you said it. It's a good stepping stone for a lot of the movies coming out in the future for Phase 4, Phase 5, and I appreciate some of the differences in this movie. Good cinematography, great soundtrack. I appreciated that it would take a breath from all the action. It would settle down. You'd have some interesting dialogue, interesting discussions between the characters. Um, I think sometimes to a fault. Sometimes there'd be a lot of telling and not showing, and it didn't give me a whole lot of impact as much as I wanted in some cases. But the performances are great for the most part, and I think I think overall it is a positive experience, and if you're an MCU fan, you got to watch it. That's all I got to say. So it's a TV show. The MCU is a TV show, and you don't want to be left out of any of the episodes. So that's my
I
thoughts.
was just talking to someone. They're like, "Well, what's the last one we saw?" And I was like, "Oh, it was Shang-Chi." And we were just going back. Well, I guess Venom, but that's not a part of it. I guess they kind of teased it, kind of is now, but whatever. But Black Widow, Shang-Chi, now this, Eternals, and now Spider-Man, all within 6 months. They're coming back strong with a bang because of
Mm.
the year and a half hiatus. 'Cause the pandemic. Then 3 months after that, we got Doctor Strange, and I'm Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. I'm so looking forward to. It's not even funny, but point being is that now we're the reels are turning with the MCU, and like you said, it's not just cinematic. It is cinematic, but it's episodic at the same time because they are all interconnected, and that makes some fans mad. Well, not really fans because they're not fans if they aren't really into that part of it. But it makes some people that go to see these upset because like they come out like, well, what was going on? Like this one, you didn't really have to because it's all brand new. But like with Spider-Man coming up, you needed to see WandaVision and the last Spider-Man stuff like that. But the wheels are turning. This this setup to me obviously it set up the setup of Galactus, and
Yeah, yeah,
Fantastic Four, obviously, and uh, I'm really looking forward to Doctor Strange. Obviously, Spider Man's gonna set up Doctor Strange, but because Doctor Strange is he's one of the more powerful people now, because of the first one. Love it or like it, hate it. They really showed you what the Sorcerer Supreme is, and now
yeah,
the multiverse coming together, how the Celestials connect with the multiverse. I'm really interested in. I know I'm saying a lot right now, but
yeah,
this makes me happy. Maybe they could have. Maybe I hope they're gonna ease their way into it because this was really a lot of like we're Celestials. I created the Eternals. I did this. I'm the creator of the universe. It's a really big ask for people to buy this because, like people have been saying, this makes Endgame, Infinity War, anything before feel very small when you
yeah,
see a being that could just crush Earth in his hand.
there's a
essentially.
lot. There's a lot of mythology, and
Yeah.
that doesn't work for everyone. But I enjoy
No. Yeah.
mythology, and I like lore. So
Yep. So that's why I was on my edge of my seat. Like with Dune, I like stuff that is all. I like it's coming together. I like a good story, and I thought this because the phases are like stories. This setup, this phase, I think this was the first step of the new phase. Like because it's gonna be, we have another 6 movies probably in the phase, and they'll end the phase with teasing Galactus or the Fantastic Four, whatever one you want to guess. So this really gets me excited, but I hope it's slow because this was a lot. A celestial, the creator of almost everything, essentially, right? You know, who
yeah,
doesn't give a
it's
crap
Genesis.
about things. What's that?
Oh, it's the Book of Genesis for the Marvel Universe,
Yeah, he
essentially.
did. Thanos ain't nothing to him. You know who Thanos? Who? You know, this is
Yeah.
what this was a big step for the next 4 phases, 5 phases, however long they want to do. I hope it's a long. I hope this is 6, 7 years instead of, or I hope it's like a. I guess the those with Thanos was 10 years, so I hope they take their time with it like they did with Thanos because this could be really really good, and I like
Yeah.
where it's heading. But for the
Yeah.
movie itself, I'm sorry I went on a little tangent, but it's a compliment to the movie because I think it did well setting up the future of what could be in the MCU, and I really enjoyed it. Yes, we had our little hiccups with it, little nitpicks. We didn't really say them, but say they were nitpicks. But for me, there was mainly nitpicks. But I really enjoyed it, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it because they like the episodic, you know, storyline of the MCU. So I think
Sure.
this is going to be a good stepping stone for it. But
All right.
Sterling,
Trey.
wow, I
Trey.
had to exhale there because man, that
Are
was
you
good.
okay?
I think that was a very good discussion. I feel like
Yeah.
people are going to come back to this episode, getting ready for the start of Phase 6. They're like, "Oh man, I got to go through the last 10 movies to get ready for the one that starts the Galactus." I think this the film Schmucks has started it. This is the beginning of the new phase of the MCU. Come back to us, rewatch this episode. We appreciate you coming back to this episode, Sterling. I appreciate you for watching this movie and sitting here and listening to me blabber because I can do that
Yeah.
sometimes, right?
Hey, it's interesting, blabber. Okay.
I try my best, and you did a great job. And please comment below, like, subscribe, and we will see you next time on the film Schmucks.